what is the big difference between mentorship and coaching?
John always would come back to me and say, Chitra, don't look for perfection. Look for excellence over perfection. And we are always striving to get to a perfection. But John would say, look at excelling, and with excelling, excel and excellence, and then perfection would really evolve.
What is the biggest challenge the young professionals are actually facing today?
Young people at times are viewed as too inexperienced. They are more than capable of doing certain roles at a stage in their life. These are highly capable people. We just need to give them that opportunity.
For a low self-esteem mentee, how do you encourage that mentee to take up leadership role?
I tend to use myself as an example. The first thing I would say to people,
welcome to the Modern CMO Podcast, a series of fireside chats we have been having for a few months now. If you want to dive deep into leadership, mentorship, and transformation, both personal and professional sides, you won't find a better person on the internet today. From supply chain to soul conversations, today's guest brings 4 decades of extraordinary experience that bridges global business strategy and deeply personal wisdom. He has led 500 plus member teams, transformed Fortune 50 companies, and mentored future leaders across continents. He is currently working on 2 books, one capturing the strengths he found in life's most difficult moments, and another preserving the history of his hometown in Ireland. John Ronan, it is an absolute honor to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Glad to be here with yourself today.
Yeah, thanks, John. And we have Chitra Rajan. She is not new to all of you. She's been there in our previous podcast as well. Chitra leads sales operations in a leading MNC. She needs no introduction, I believe, because the past few podcasts that we have had got tremendous appreciation from all of you. And if you want to know more about Chitra, you can always check our podcast. Chitra, welcome to you as well.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So thank you, both of you. So let's start on one simple question, John, that I have had is, what is the big difference between mentorship and coaching? Because we often use mentorship and coaching in almost in same vein, right? And have also seen that you need mentorship when you are at a cusp of life or when you want to transition to the next level, and you want coaching to get to the next skill level. Is my understanding to help us understand, from your perspective, what does, what you think would be the differentiation between the two?
That's a great question, Sabais. And it's important to call out that when people will come to me and they will ask for my help and assistance, I will always start by basically working out, does the person need mentoring or does the person need coaching? Because that's a very, very fundamental thing to understand from the outset. Now, we'll talk more about what relationship, I suppose I will talk more about mentorship and coaching as we go deeper into the discussion. But fundamentally, mentorship is very relationship focused. That's the first thing. You're on a medium to long-term journey with a person. So you have to be highly committed, make the time. It's not a short-term journey in any shape or format. You have to be a trusted advisor. Now, that word trust is so fundamentally important in all aspects of our life. But for this, you have to be that trusted advisor. There needs to be deep mutual trust where conversations can be held in a very confidential and comfortable manner. And you're really working on the professional growth of a person, long-term career development, leadership skills, and personal development. So this is much, much more than just work. It's life-changing skills that a person will get here. Now, there's a few key things here. If you want to be a mentor, you really have to have a deep passion for helping others, and that's core and key. So if you want to go on that journey, it really starts with passion and with trust. Now, mentorship is a two-way process. It's a long-term process, as we said here. It greatly helps, by the way, if a person does have some experience or knowledge of your area of field or expertise here. You have to have the ability to actively listen. Now, people do not think a little too much at times about listening, but listening is absolutely critical. And let me explain one thing to you. If you change the words of listening around, you will get the word silent. So sometimes you have to be silent, and think about that. Listen, change the words around, silent. But that's what you need to do. You need to be silent, and you need to actively listen. But very much a two-way thing. You really have to inspire and be able to energize people to do what they're more than capable of in life and aspire to. So those are just a range of skills that are very, very important. Now, coaching is a slightly different, Tobias. Coaching is a little bit more short to medium term in nature. Generally, people will come to me and ask for coaching guidance when tactically we may need to basically adjust some performance item, or we may need to be able to improve their performance in another area. The other thing that's core, I guess, and key to coaching is where mentorship is very much two-way driven, coaching is more driven by the person that needs to be coached in terms of the actions. But a great question. I hope I've given you a really, really good insight into how I look at those things when we start off with a person.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think that is a great differentiation that you made. I'll go to Chitra. Chitra, you worked with John for a very long time. And give us some insight into how you have been mentored, one. And we also, in our last podcast, we spoke about reverse mentoring and all that. Just give us your experience working with John.
Absolutely. First of all, I'm blessed to work with several mentors. Like John mentioned, I've also been coached for certain skills, certain short time to achieve certain specific competency like presentation skills, building a strategy. For me, mentorship indeed is a transformative within oneself. And I think, as I said, I've been very fortunate to have some good mentors who have helped me to evolve, bring that unique perspectives and experience. And with John, he's a seasoned expert with decades of experience, and his wealth of knowledge and his strategic insights has helped me to see the things in a bigger picture and look at the longer terms. I would have very organized Friday meetings with John towards the end of the week and end of the day, so that we could really look at how the whole week went on, and we would just not discuss very business specific but also share many stories. And John would really share with me about his career journey, emphasizing his resiliency, adaptability, and he's really helped me to come out of that comfort zone where people usually struggle to sink in, right? But John, not just been a mentor, but he's been a big advocate to my career, and he's helped me to take up a bigger responsibility of people engagement and activities in the organization, as big as let's say presenting to 1,000 plus audience. And I said, John, how am I going to do this? He would say, here is it. And we would do rehearsals, we would do a recap. And with John, it's a complete, very structured, very organized. And initial days, it was quite challenging for me. But I think with constant coaching, like he said, before I got really mentored, I got coached. And that was about John, who really handheld me. He has helped me to overcome my fears of facing the audience, larger audience, presenting with the confidence. I think today I'm leading that with complete ease, and I'm doing these podcasts is all thanks to John's coaching. Now, one thing that John has also helped me to strive and work through is John always would come back to me and say, Chitra, don't look for perfection. Look for excellence over perfection. And that was such a thin line between, because we are always striving to get to a perfection. But John would say, look at excelling, and with excelling, excel and excellence, and then perfection would really evolve. So he would constantly push me, leading to a significant professional growth and success. And I think I've enjoyed several recognition. I'm very proud to share that with my audience here, that taking that extra mile and having somebody to advocate and endorse you. Because remember, I always emphasize that most of the decisions are made in your absence in the boardroom. So who is that one advocate in the room who would really voice out for you? And that really is me presenting to you all as John. He's a very well-rounded of support that I got in the organization, and who has helped me to evolve this career. And as John, as a very good coach, I can honestly say he has this years model. I call it as EARS. He would use example, he would use actions, he would use results, keeping in mind what should be the action look like. And at the end of it, he would strategize the work for me to say, you've done this, now take another challenge. He would not let me sit comfortable. He would constantly challenge me to take up a bigger and bigger responsibility. So all that thanks to John. So you see how a good coach can be a good mentor. And if you are really handled well, here is a result.
Okay, so Chitra, I just want to pick the point that just made. You said that you were coached before you were mentored. Does the coaching come first, then the mentoring? How does it?
I don't know. I think, John, you can answer this, but I think for me, it is hand in hand. There's no one for the other, right? You sometimes need to be mentored, which is in the longer term goals. You're learning a bigger skill to build yourself for a bigger transformative career journey. And coaching is a specific skill. Coaching is certain specific activity, specific action, and you can do both at a time. And I think I got that both sort of two in a hat. Those sort of mentor come coach, and a good coach can be a good mentor, and likewise. So I think I got that in form of John. John, anything that you think you can add?
No, you are spot perfect. Mentoring and coaching are done in parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every day, every hour, Sabas, is a coaching moment.
Moment.
And That's a very, very important thing. Think about that. Every single day is a coaching moment, and you have to take the time. You may have a meeting, an event, or whatever, but the importance of giving real-time coaching feedback back to people is very, very important. So it happens in parallel, but it has to be real time.
Right. So, John, I'll get back to you. The point that you mentioned earlier on is the importance of active listening. And Chitra here mentioned about EARS, EARS, right? Okay. So, how do you come up with this? Because active listening and EARS is a kind of a model, or is it a how to model, or what exactly it is? If you could just throw light.
Well, I guess everyone has a model, when it comes to mentorship. For me, I start and I say, as I say, does a person need mentorship, or does a person need coaching? The second criteria, you think about it coming down this filter, Sabas.
Yeah.
And the second thing I will ask to myself is, what is the profile of the person? Now, that's really, really important, because every single day when we're talking with people, if you don't know the profile of a person, you're not going to energize them appropriately. By the way, in life, you can do two things in life. You can either energize a person or you can drain a person. So it's all about energizing the person. But there's only two things you can do in any given day in any connectivity point. But the profiling of the person is very, very important. And I'll tell you why. One, is it something that you need to do for the person in terms of learning and training? Or two, is it something that you need to do from a DNA perspective? Now, people will ask me, what does DNA mean? How does it impact us, and so forth? So let me give you a great example. Take myself. My DNA has always been one that if I did something and I did something successfully, I wouldn't always mention that John Ronan did this or contributed to that. I would come from a very, very humble background. Now that's fine, that works, but as we go through life at times, sometimes we do need to say, we did this or we brought that value to the table here. Now, you don't necessarily need to go around waving a big flag that basically says, I did this, but you do need to be able to inject into the conversation your contribution. So for me, that would have been a DNA adjustment, but that would apply to other people as well. So when I walk down through that, and then I look to apply the necessary skills to a person, and I look to give them the confidence to use those skills successfully. Now, an awful lot of people will give people skills, but you have to be able to show and be able to give the person the confidence to use those skills. And then we look at the approach, which is next level down through the funnel, the approach, the structure, the techniques, and the style. Now, all of those are very, very important. If I take structure, now Chitra made great reference to it. Life is very much about having a structured approach to winning. That's what it is, a structured approach to winning continuously. Now, with the techniques, all of the competencies and behaviors and techniques, there's always a science behind it. There's a science behind having a good one-on-one. There's a science behind having the call that we're having today. If I take a one-on-one, 1 minute interchanges, highly engaging, open-ended questions, but there's a science behind everything. So you teach that people that science. And then there's style. Now, style is never a substitute for substance, but if your style gets in the way, you will not be able to confidently and successfully communicate your strategy and ideas. So you work on those items down through the funnel. Now, as Chitra said, you do assign or look for the person to basically take on important priorities. You look to excellence and progress. Perfection is a goal that's literally impossible to get there. You'll always end up chasing perfection. But if you have progress and excellence, it's a huge step forward. You get people out of their comfort zones. You endorse what they have done and showcase what they have done, and you build raving fans. Right. And raving fans are very, very important in all aspects of life. But what you're doing fundamentally here, with all of these models is you're making it easy, or relatively easy, or a little bit more easier for doors to open easily for people, be it in work or be it in life. They're not pushing that door open all of the time. Someone is creating that little bit of a light with the door open. It's easier to succeed and easier to get through. But that's in effect what you are doing here, Savais. I hope that addressed your question in terms of what we're looking at.
Yeah. So I think the other day we had another podcast on similar line, where we said that there are certain models or mentorship models that are prevalent in the market and which have been quite successful in some form or the other. Is there any particular model that you look at or you go by? It's very interesting to hear from you about DNA. That's something new in our area of research in mentorship itself. But do you really adhere to any models, or do you have any models that have really worked? If you could give us some real case examples, that would be great.
So do I look to models, specific models of others? Not necessarily. Okay. What I've done is, over my 4 decades, I have had the opportunity to work with some incredible mentors and incredible coaches. And each time, I suppose, very simply, what I've done through my life, whether it's in work, by the way, or in life, by the way, mentors, not just about work, it's about life. So I've had mentors and work with mentors and coaches and great people effectively in life as well. But quite simply, what I have done is, for every single person I've worked with, I have mapped down what I have taken as hugely constructive and positive from those interchanges. And I have built my model and my way of looking at that based on all of my experiences with some great people in life. And that's how I've built it up step by step, to fully understand the sciences, the techniques behind all of those things like networking and everything. I could ask 100 people today, Sebastian, what is networking? I can tell you I would struggle to get one person to tell me what networking is about. So what I've done over the years is, I'll give me the right answer, but what I've done over the years is I've just built this knowledge base based on my experiences through life, and created that model, the model that I've just spoken about there. But one of the things that I will keep probably harping back to is, with mentorship, you really need to be vested in another person. You need to be passionate about that person. I do come from a family, of high, where there is really high values, very spiritual in nature, and I have that love of helping people. Now, you can take any model in the world after that, but if it doesn't start with that deep desire and passion to go help another human being, forget your models.
Absolutely. I
Agree.
agree.
Forget your models. But you would have got from me what my module is, where I go through that, down through that filter, and where I would have covered it for you. Now, each layer of that, there are so many different skills here. But a passion for life, a passion for helping people, a passion for making someone better than myself, a passion for the next generations to come, a passion for helping not just my own country, but anywhere I can help people. That's where this model starts.
And Subhash, just to add there, I mentioned about lift as you grow, right? So I think that aspiration of lifting somebody and helping them to groom and grow, I think that that skill and that knowledge and that blessing has definitely come to me from John. You don't keep the knowledge to yourself, keep passing it on to the generations, and I
You
think that's where we create a
you
chain
keep
of people
sharing
share. And yeah,
share is the word share is a word that's not used enough in life,
yeah,
but it's the ability to share. And I'll tell you one very, very good story on that. I did say I have been fortunate, I have been privileged with some of the learning and training that I've got. But I would always leave those sessions, and the first thing that comes into my head, how am I going to share this with my team? How am I going to share this with other people? How am I going to disperse this knowledge, this incredible knowledge? And that's so important. How can you spread it so far and wide? I'll tell you one other great thing. So yes, the answer to your question, very structured module, a very structural model of doing things, built over 4 decades based on my experiences. But ultimately, one thing I look to do as well is I'm always trying to make a person I mentor or a coach better than me. How can I make this person better than me? Now think about that. So yes, a deep love of what I do, a deep love of sharing, and a deep love of making people better than myself.
Absolutely. Okay. So, what's the most rewarding part of being a mentor?
So I love I love that quote from John Quincy Adams that says, "If you inspire people to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more, you're a leader." And the very same thing applies to mentorship. Now, think about that. But really what you're doing here is you are creating a lasting and positive impact on a person's life. Not just their work life, as I said previously, on their life. For me, it's that ability to share knowledge. So I'm actually sharing the knowledge, because life is an encyclopedia. We learn from everyone, but sharing of knowledge is so important. But I love that quote. As I say, that beautiful quote. I think it sums it up very well.
Yeah. How about you, Chitra? You have also mentored quite a few youngsters, right? So
yeah.
what's your...
Uh, to extend to John, I think rewarding for me to see my mentee, my coachee, as they scale, right? In life, it's all about scalability as well for me, and to see them achieving their goals. It may be in the objective of a corporate decorum or achieving certain things in their life. It's very rewarding to see that the person has brought that transformation and has implemented all those coaching and actions that we have committed for, because we also have given that time to that person and the individual. So it's quite rewarding to see those achievements, big, small. It's not about the quantity and the quantum of the goals and the objectives, but it's all about how well that person has taken the things seriously and has implemented them.
Okay, great.
And,
So,
and what's really important here, Tobias, is you are inspiring and energizing people to achieve what they're capable of in life and what they aspire
yeah, yeah,
to get to.
Mhm.
Now, we've all different capabilities, we've all different aspirations and so forth, but that's what you're doing. You are creating hugely confident, resilient, real champions in life here. And as Chitra said, to see that scale and to see that happen is immense.
yeah,
Yes.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. That brings to one logical question that I have is that what is the biggest challenge uh, the young professionals are actually facing today, and how can mentorship really help?
Yeah. So the first thing for me, Tobias, is young people at times are viewed as too inexperienced. They are more than capable of doing certain roles at a stage in their life.
Yeah,
And I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to overcome here. These are highly capable people. These are extremely bright and articulative people. We just need to give them that opportunity to do things at a much earlier stage in life. In fact, I've seen many occasions where people can do things much, much better than me at such an early stage. So I made reference to that analogy of opening the door, letting a little bit of light in. We just need to open that door to people at an earlier stage and let them take things on. Now, the second biggest thing for me is with the change in work life, be it work from home models and things like that, people get less of an opportunity to see and observe. Now, this is one of the next big words that I want for everyone to think about today. So I had mentioned that listen is a big word. I had mentioned that share is a big word. Observe is a huge, huge word. People need to be given the opportunity to observe. And I'll give you a great example. One of my first mentors taught me how to confidently walk into a meeting room. So my first session was my coach then, coaching session at the time, walked into the room 3 times. And then I had to walk into the room 3 times. But that ability to walk into the room confidently is so important, because that kind of sets the tone for everything. Everyone feels confident. It's just creates that right feeling, that right start. But it's a very, very simple analogy. You know, how do we walk confidently? You know, the brands that we show, people look at us from a distance. We're always on. We're playing an ad. But all of those skills come from that great word, observe. So again, going back to John, where did you pick up all of these modules? Okay, I work with great mentors. I work with great coaches. I observed. I would sit. I would see how people did things. I would walk out of meeting rooms and write my notes. I sat for 2 hours in a meeting room once after a one-on-one, just mapping out how I thought that 30-minute call went. So observation, next big word.
Yeah. No, that's so important. Observation is the key for anything.
And unfortunately, that's becoming a little bit more difficult now with work from home models and things like that. But
Yeah.
important never to lose sight of that.
Yeah. So now with AI coming in, there is a lot of disruptions happening everywhere, right? How do you think that mentorship has changed over these 2-3 years? Because we have seen that there is no one-to-one mentorship that usually happens. It's mass mentorship. You get everyone on a Zoom call, you get everyone on LinkedIn group, you get everyone on whatever one platform, and then you address it to everyone. Unlike what in your generation or till now, one-on-one mentorship is something that is highly held one, and with the advent of new technologies and all that, now most mentors are inviting everyone on one single platform. What's your take on that?
So my take on that is all things AI have greatly supplemented, have augmented, but for me there is no such thing as mass mentoring. All right, and I mean that mass mentoring doesn't work. You can have classes. You can teach people, as I said, all of the techniques. So, for example, what is networking, and the types of networking, influencing, executive profile, personal edge, higher level thinking. There is a lot of things that you can do as part and parcel of a communication or a class with a broader audience. But when it comes to deep mentoring, it is very, very much a one-on-one type of experience with that person. So yes, helped, yes, supplemented and will augment, but ultimately mentorship is about relationships. It's about
Yes.
it's very much about relationships, as I said at the start. I used that great word at the start. It's about networking. It's about the human connection. All right, now I've put emphasis on those two words, human connection, right?
Yeah.
Is very, very important here. So when we are asked to mentor a person, we don't take it lightly. We've got to say to ourselves, can I commit to this? Do I have the necessary time? They're all big questions. And if for me I can do those and I can commit to that, well then I will do it. If I can't commit to it, well then it doesn't make sense to do it. So important to understand to us as well that mentorship is not a free-for-all. It's a privileged thing that you have to be deeply grateful about. The mentee has to embrace it, has to have a huge aptitude for it. Chitra would be a prime example of that, but it's not a mass product in any shape or format here. It's very deep and meaningful.
Yeah. So,
And I think, John,
yeah.
Subhash, and I think I have my own take on this. I'm from the old school of connections and having that human connect of one-on-ones. While AI and digital platforms have helped us to transform the term of a mentorship, but I think it's on the good and advantage side. You got accessibility of digital platforms. There is a personalized learnings that you can take it from Zoom or Microsoft. You can listen to the calls, you can record the calls, you can go back. Because in our days, and I still follow that, is write the notes. And John is a book and a pen person as well. While these virtual collaboration have helped us in terms of our technology, but I think virtual mentorship is an integral part of our modern mentorship. But I think, like John mentioned, he's from Ireland. I used to sit in India. We used to work day and night, but our geographical barriers have never, never gone as a reason and excuse to not to connect. Despite of the advancements, I strongly believe that human element in mentorship is very crucial for that personal connection. And AI cannot really replace those human connect, like John mentioned. So I think AI is in favor, but without reducing that human experience is very important. So I would strongly encourage our current generation to go ahead, make use of both the advantages, one of the technology, the other one of human connect, and see how you could really spread that learnings across, because learnings come from all the sides.
Yeah, and I think it's very, very important. As I said and Chitra said, it's greatly augmented and supplemented AI and everything. But important to call out though as well. Technology has lifted everyone, right? We have that great ability now to connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
So technology has moved mentorship on greatly.
Yeah.
That's one point I would make to you, because technology is driving so much human progress. The mere fact that we can be on a call today discussing this topic.
Yes.
So technology has driven that human progress there.
Okay, John. So, how do you advise youngsters or your mentees to handle failures or setback in their journey?
So there is a very, very great saying, Sebas, that has always resonated very, very strongly with me. And that is, forget the mistake, remember the lesson, from Roald Dahl. Right, now, think about that. Not that many words, but a very, very powerful statement that has always resonated with me.
Yeah.
And I think I always think of that. The other big thing, Sebas, is the ability to quickly reset when we have challenges in life. And it's those people that can quickly reset, are always so powerful and bring so much to the table. I'll give you a great example. I do love Formula One, racing, motor racing. I was listening to a great interview recently about Max Verstappen. He was the world champion last year. But the one thing they'll say about Max is he may have a difficult race weekend, or a difficult practice, or a difficult qualifying, or a difficult race, but he quickly resets to go again. And that's very, very applicable to life, whether it's in work or whether it's in our personal lives or whatever. Reset quickly, let's get going again. All right. Now, the other thing that's hugely important for me is patience and time. and they're two critical works. Always have patience, give things time, and so forth. So absolutely key. And I am big into sport. I like my sport, but I love that quote from Muhammad Ali. Hugely inspiration quote is, "You do not lose if you get knocked. You lose if you stay down." And that's one of my views in life. We will get knocks, but it's so important to get back up on our feet and be robust and so forth. But everything in life is a learning experience. Things will go wrong, but you know the great thing? Next time round, you're not working from scratch. You're working from an area of experience, and you can do better.
That's right.
So what you're saying is that failures will happen. I mean, failures are part of life, right?
Failures are great learnings.
Yeah,
They inspire us to be better.
yes.
And they're not. I don't even use the word failures. I sometimes call them lessons, things that happen. I don't generally use that word failure for that reason. I say things that happen us in life.
Okay.
We've all had things that happen us in life. I would have had my own experience as well. I had a health experience in 2017, but you know what? Bounced back, better now, have emerged stronger. You know, and so I think lessons in life are very, very important because they make us stronger. They make us more open-minded. We think more about being humble and helping others. So all part of life, but make us stronger.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we often see is that people, when they face setbacks, when they face, as you said, failure is not the word that they need to register in their mind all the time, but take them as lessons and then move ahead, right? So, but most often we have seen that it's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult. It has to do with mindset, as you said, that it is resetting things, right? But how is the most important part of it. While we say that you go ahead and reset your life, but the question is how. And unless you have a mentor who can help you with that how, it becomes very difficult. So again, my next question to that is, how should one find a good mentor? What traits should one see to really say that, yes, now I have got a good mentor who can really hold my hand and take me to the next level?
So before I answer that question for you, you have invoked a thought. There was a thought that you provoked there in me as well to answer. But in life, it is very, very important to have close confidants, if you want to call it that, close friends. I'll give you a great example going back to networking. Networking generally involves having three groups of people that you work with in life. One is a personal network. So if I have a health challenge tomorrow, or I need some advice on some personal matter and bits and pieces, there's a group of people in my life that I know I can talk to. I have a business work network, so if I want something, in that area, I'll go to that network. And if there's something strategic, I have a strategic network, and those list of people might be the same list of people across all groups or whatever. But to the question that you're raising there, it's very, very important to have that close group of confidence, or what we would call in business circles, basically networks that we can reach out to when we do face those types of challenges in life. So that's kind of the first thing I would say to you. Think of a network or a close group of confidants that can be broken down those ways. Now, the question then that you asked is, what should people look for when they want to determine a mentor for them?
Yeah.
So the first thing is, you look for a person that has a deep passion for helping others. That's the first thing, all right? Yeah, you don't want to be assigned a mentor because mentors have to mentor X people in bits and pieces. Doesn't work that way. Look for a person that has that deep passion. The second thing is, look for a person that can bridge your number one skill or competency gap. So some people are extremely strong on people. Some people are extremely strong on strategy, influencing, executive presence. But what's your number one gap? Look for someone that's highly confident in that area. And generally what I'll do first, by the way, I will go to my network and I look to see who I have here. Now, it's not 100% necessary, but look for a person that has experience in your field, if possibly. And that doesn't need to be work, by the way. It can be in life or whatever, but someone that has experience in that field. The fourth item is mutual trust. You need to find the person that you can have those comfortable conversations with, in a very, very confidential way. So mutual trust. You need to find a person that inspires and empowers you. That person doesn't have those skills. And again, go back. There's a model, but that person needs to have those personal traits to inspire and empower you. Absolutely key. The person needs to be an active listener. The person needs to have the ability to disrupt. We use the great terminology here. I don't know, do you use it? We call it home truths. Home truths is where we clearly articulate to a person where they're doing well, but these are the areas that needs to be worked on. So you need to be able to disrupt. Sometimes we're moved. We have to be completely. There was a great saying that basically says sometimes our lives have to be completely shaken up, changed, rearranged for us to locate to a place where we're meant to be. That's a great quote. I'd seen one of Bet Flynn's quotes and so forth. But a mentor has that ability to disrupt. The person needs to be very proficient. I did mention at the start, there is a science behind the techniques and everything. So, give you a great example. If you do a one-on-one, there is a set list of golden rules for doing a good one-on-one. If you're influencing, there's a set list of golden rules. If you take executive presence, there's a list of golden rules like tinted gravitas and all of those items. So the person absolutely needs to know the science behind those. And what I find at times is people have these conversations about networking and one-on-ones and things like that, but they don't know the science, the real science. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of how you do this and how you do it successfully. So that's very, very important. They are proficient and they know it. Lastly, and most importantly, you are looking for someone that is totally committed to this process, will make the time, can take a call when you've had a very, very difficult day or difficult meeting and say, hey John, this is how my day went. I don't think it went great here. or it went great. What should I do here? Now, what the mentor does is the mentor restores calmness, restores structure, gets the person to think before they need to do the next thing. Mentors are great. They teach people how to bite their tongue before they reply. They teach people to go beep, beep, beep before they reply. Right? All of those skills, but they restore calmness and they ensure that people basically, walk a very, very, very structured way in terms of how they respond. Yeah. We don't, they take that reaction, that anxiety, that stress out of the person. Yeah. So you're looking for a person that can do, you're looking for a person that can do this. So, how many, so I kind of jot these things down and I kind of say when I want to walk with a person or whatever, well, does that person tick all of those boxes for me? Is that some person I would like to have a conversation with? Are they going to give me that confidence? Are they going to make my life calm?
So John taught me this beep, beep, beep strategy because I was super aggressive. I would address email in a spur of a moment. I would speak without thinking, without pausing, without reflecting. And I think in one of the sessions, he coached me on beep, beep, beep with a deep breathing. And he said, hold off. Take a moment. Do not reply an email with emotions. Do not speak up without thinking. So I think it comes with a lot of practice. But I love this thought of John because no one size fits all, Subhash. A mentor, above all of these skills that John mentioned, a mentor has to be available. I call it as a 3A strategy. Be available, be accessible, and be approachable. It's so important to have these 3 A's in order to have that good composition of a mentor and a mentee relationship.
Great. So one question that I have.
Yeah, Sebastian, that goes back to what I said, at the top of the filter, when we started, profile of mentor and profile of mentee,
Yeah.
Yeah, the related one that I have is do you find mentor within the work environment or outside work environment? Because you spend a lot of your time at work, right? Maybe 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. And as you go higher up, you tend to spend more time. So you find you need to find some mentor within your work environment every time. Let's say, for example, Chitra. You have outside the work environment as well as inside.
I strongly believe that it should be a mix of both, right? And again, I'm a strong believer that learning comes from all the sides. If you are only learning within the business, then there are certain core competencies you definitely will learn and groom what is needed for an office environment. But when you learn it from an outside perspective as well, you get you really broaden your horizon of perspectives and thoughts. So I'm a strong believer that learning should come from all sides. So no mentor of just one side, inside or outside. You can have it from all the sources.
Yeah, I would add to that, Sebastian. I would say, like Chitra, it has to be both within your work life and within your personal life. And one of the hard truths that I learned as part of my journey was that I probably didn't seek enough coaches or mentors or people for advice in my greater life. I guess I focused, my focus had been quite a bit on my work life and things like that. But what I've learned is I now get so much advice from being part of a walk group that we have here. I'm part of a group here which it's called Walk and Talk. We go for a walk for an hour and a half. But the advice I get from that is just incredible in so many different things. As a prime example, but yes, the answer is you need it in your professional life, and you need it in your personal life,
That's right.
and that's key. And I sometimes had struggled. I said it to Chitra in the past. I struggled a little bit with it, I suppose, in terms of more from a personal side. I didn't probably allow enough time in the past for talking to people, and walk groups and other things like that. But yeah, the answer is yes. You need both.
Yeah. Okay, great. So now coming to the most important question of all, I wanted to really ask this at the end so that we get that momentum. So for a self-esteem, for a low self-esteem mentee, how do you encourage that mentee to take up leadership role?
So I tend to. So first and foremost, by the way, I tend to use myself as an example. Um, and I've always put myself out there, as Chitra will testify, to do things. What is, like, for me, the next big word here is opportunity. What is the next opportunity around the corner here? So I would say, when I was starting out in my life, I got an opportunity to be able to do an awful lot at a very, very early stage in my life. When I look at what I was able to do in those years, through 25, 30 and up, when I was just starting out, incredible experiences. So I use my example to people to say, I got this opportunity, I grabbed that opportunity at a young age, go do this thing. And like one of the things, Tobias, that I always say, people say to me, what amazes me about young mentees, right? That's a question that's often asked to me. I can tell you, one, they are extremely bright. They are extremely talented. They have access to so much information, right? I absolutely feel that they have a huge platform. They're very authentic at an early age. They want to have these sessions, and the energy that comes across to me is like, let's do this, But I think I use myself as an example of being able to do things at an early age, and when people come to me, I encourage them to do that. But the most important thing is, like, when you put them on this journey and you get them off that starting block, people can run, and people can run fast, and it's just incredible what they can achieve. So use examples of people that have done incredible things at a young age, right? This can be done. You may get to it, Tobias, but I do want to focus in on one or two things today that I think are very, very important in terms of advice that I would give to people. So I think your question is a great question because it requires a few answers. But the first thing I would say to people starting off in life is future-proof your career. Make sure you have a project plan. We literally have a project plan for everything else in life, but sometimes we don't have a project plan for our professional life or for our own life or whatever, right? So future-proof your career. I think it's hugely important that people are continuing to upskill, to move into higher scoped roles. Now, those words are very, very important, right? Higher scoped roles, right? That's very much what it's about here. You know, you can change job, you can change direction, and you may move here or move there. You might feel that you have a greater title or a greater responsibility, but have you moved into a higher scoped role that will challenge you to do more? All right. So I want to focus in a little bit on those words. But the other 10 that always resonates with me, I don't know, have you heard that maybe you have the 12 brutal career truths from Ryan Yockey? Have you? I'm not so sure, have people heard about those or read about those? But there's some very, very fundamental ones in there. The first thing is your job title is temporary and does not define your value.
Yep.
That's the first one. Focus on building skills and not clinging to labels. I mean, that's one of the first big ones, from Ryan Yockey. Networking is non-negotiable. I can tell you here right now, literally every role that I've got in life, and by the way, I am well into, and I mean well into, 2X roles. But the majority of my roles I have got from networking. I am not an expert on CVs, on interviews, and I have no intention of becoming an expert in either of those. I focus on networking. All right. The comfort zone kills growth. So if you're in your comfort zone, it kills your growth. Feedback is a gift. Do it every day. A proficient coach, and there's lots of coaches out there that will always tell you how good you're doing, but a proficient coach will tell you what you're doing good and will tell you what you need to readjust. Focus on making an impact. Impact builds legacy. So what have you done? So whether it's a role in life or whether it's something you're doing within your community, you don't want for people to think about that just as a job. Well, that was the job. That was the 10 that was done. Think of it along the lines, well, Chitra Rajan or Tobias or whoever did that. If your name is linked to that role, or linked to that legacy, be it in work or in life, that's where you want to get to. Perfection slows you down. If you aim for perfection is always out there. You're constantly chasing. Go for excellence. Go for continuous improvement. Career growth is not linear. And a really, really good book to read is What Got You Here Won't Get You There from Marshall Goldsmith. If you haven't read that,
yes, it's amazing. Yes,
but they're absolutely critical 10s. Now there's 2 other 10s that I just want to leave today on this. That's and I know you'll probably want to talk a little bit about India, and we'll get to that and so forth. But I do want to say two other things. I just want to make sure I get a very clear message across them today. And that's, what quality should young leaders have and focus on development? Right? One is communication, right? Written and oral. It is very easy to write a long letter, right? Okay. The world has moved on. We need something that's crisp, clear, concise, clarity. Can I get it in 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Right? I call it high thought to word ratio. Think about that. Very few words, but high thought. I'm implying a lot of thought. All right? But that ability to do that ability to use first degree words. So communication is becoming really, really important. I know yesterday I was looking at a great thing that they're looking at here in Ireland, where they're looking at English having an oral exam possibly going forward here. I think it's a great thing to look at. The second thing is, and I'll go back to it again, is being able to make that human connection. Now, I worked previously for a very, very inspiring leader that was hugely confident and was very, very strong and had a very, very profound influence on me when it came to communication and connecting with people. And I learned an awful lot from that person. But that person would always talk about that ability to be able to win hearts and minds. That person would have always used a quotation that resonates with me pretty much every single day. And it's a very, very good quote, but it's from Maya Angelou. People, will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yep.
How you made them feel, from Maya Angelou. But it's something that resonates with me every single day. But people starting off now, they have great analytical skills. And those are very, very important. They have great technology skills, but the ability to be able to communicate appropriately is all important. The ability to be able to, that human connection, be able to connect, as I say, win hearts and minds, energize, inspire, and that's a key part of mentorship, is absolutely key here. I've probably answered your question in
So much of
quite a way,
wisdom overflowing here.
but really, really important to share. Not just what I know, but a level of wisdom here as well, right? In terms of what we're about. I know you probably want to talk a little bit about India, maybe.
Yes, I just want to stop there. And before we go to our rapid fire round, Chitra introduced this last time, so we want to continue this. So, one last question before we go to the rapid fire is, what are your thoughts and perspectives about India?
So my thoughts and perspectives on India is the modern India is evolving. That's the first thing. I think modern India is taking shape. It's evolving all around us. Now, culture-wise, I think you have an incredible culture. It is such an endearing, welcoming, hospitable culture. I could quote many examples. When I visit India, receiving a message up at the airport, welcome to India. how people look after me there. And Chitra, yourself and Kriti and your family are great examples of this, as are many other people. But how people are looked after there. It's a very relationship culture. It's a culture I love because it's a very, very spiritual culture, a very spiritual culture, so it resonates very much with me. But I love going to India. Such a wonderful, endearing, helpful group of people that are so thankful for everything. So I just want to say that keep that culture. Remain your authentic self and who ye are. I think is really important. I think the second big thing for me is continue to embrace technology. It's just wonderful to see, you know, how the call centers have evolved. Now the technology hubs and everything that's happening there.
Yeah.
So embrace technology. But I would say, and mentoring is really, really important for this, always make sure you keep your indigenous industry alive and strong as well. I mean, that can be the shop on the corner, small business down the road, all vitally important. So keep that indigenous section of your country alive, and you can do that by mentoring people well, by the way. So I think you always need that. Women equality. Always ensure that there's equal equality. Always so vital in any country. Languages. It's my understanding that India is the second largest English speaking country in the world.
Yeah.
Maintain that. I think it is so important that you always have that second language that's so global in nature. And by the way, that's, you know, you have excelled, absolutely excelled in that field. Again, I think this morning or this afternoon for yourselves now is testimony to this call. I think is key. Universities, make sure that there's always opportunities for people if they wish to go down that university line. University line is a thing we should always be deeply grateful for. I know at a point in time in my history, it wasn't always possible for us to go to university, and hence the opportunity wasn't there. It was expensive and so forth. But the more you can open up university opportunities for people, or to give people that chance in life, and people do need a chance in life. Everyone needs a chance in life, by the way. Everyone needs to help a person and get that person over the line. But I think that's really important. And I think the other thing, I think those are probably some of the most critical things here. But most certainly, modern India is evolving. It's taking shape. It's just wonderful to visit there and see the vibrancy. I think it's become so vibrant, but deep down for me, I just love that spiritual connection. I love your culture. I love your traditions. And how you care for people. Like in India, for me, that word community is such a big word. Everything about India is about your community. So So I think if you continue to walk to work in all of those kind of things, I think as a country you'll do extremely well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for the kind words. So we'll break for rapid fire round.
Yeah.
John,
And
this has to be one word.
yeah, yeah. Okay, we leave it for one sentence now. Just I
Yeah.
don't want to make John's life difficult on this podcast. So, John, what is that you will tell a 22-year-old John? Let's say you travel back in time and you want to tell tell one sentence to a 22-year-old John Ronan.
I would say to them, be wanted. I love that book from David Fremantle. Right? Turn up and show up every single day.
Show up, okay.
Turn up
Chitra.
and show up every single
And
day.
show up every single day. Okay, that's what you will tell a 22-year-old John Ronan. Okay, how about you, Chitra?
I would say, Chitra, grow up.
Chitra, grow up. Okay. Okay, great. So, what one word that comes to your mind when you think about relationship, Chitra?
Nurture.
Acha. John?
I go back to creating that lasting positive impact.
Positive impact. Okay.
Creating
Great.
that lasting and positive impact on another
Lasting
person's life.
Okay. One last rapid fire. What one thing that comes to your mind when you think about AI? John, let's go to you.
I, having worked in technology for four decades, I love change.
Change, okay.
Chitra will tell you that, right? I have seen change, Sebas, every decade. I embrace change. I love change. It drives human progress. I am very, very positive to change.
Awesome. Chitra,
It's artificial intelligence, so don't panic.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has really been enlightening session, John. I must tell you, so much of wisdom overflowing here. We are really overwhelmed. Thank you for taking time and spending almost 1.5 hours with us,
Yeah.
talking to us on mentorship, on transformation, on leadership, and whatnot. And you have recommended so many books, so many anecdotes, and these are some things that we will cherish, I'm sure. And our listeners, whoever is watching this podcast, will surely appreciate your time and your wealth of experience, sharing your wealth of experience for sure. Thank you
Absolutely.
once again.
Loved it.
Thank you so much.